I'm a just island boy. I'm a just island boy. I'm a get key white wine. You're gonna keep that gun. I'll be just staring at the sun. I'm just a fool gazing.
That wasn't like a hate shot.
I don't need financial advice,
we don't
but I
need
probably
financial
make more money
advice
than you.
But that was me.
How much did you spend on all your tattoos? I spent around 30K, and I'm only 20. I'm turning 21 on July 16th, so yeah, I got tatted pretty fast.
Welcome back to StarHush, where the internet's biggest downfalls get dissected. And today, we're talking about one of the most bizarre rises and falls in social media history, the Island Boys. For a brief moment, it actually looked like these twins might have a shot at something long-term. They were all over social media, pulling in hundreds of millions of views on YouTube and over 2 billion views on TikTok. Their ridiculous aesthetic, goofy freestyle, and viral antics had everyone talking. But once the hype settled, reality hit. Turns out their bad habits, wild behavior, and straight-up reckless decision-making were dragging them toward an inevitable crash. And the most ironic part? Even Jack Doherty, of all people, saw it coming before they did. Less than a year after he shaded them, one of them has literally hit rock bottom. We're talking sleeping in the streets level of rock bottom. But let's be real, if you take a look at how they fumbled every opportunity handed to them, can you really say they didn't bring this on themselves? This is StarHush, and today we're breaking down how the Island Boys went from viral sensations to straight-up homeless. And honestly, it's like they've come full circle. Born Frankie and Alex Venegas, these twins were always in trouble. From stealing to getting caught up in the streets, they were racking up charges for everything from theft to drug possession until their own mother had enough and kicked them out at just 18 years old. And even back then, they were already desperate to go viral. Tatted head to toe, making music, chasing clout, it was all part of the plan. But clout can only take you so far when you have no plan to back it up. But let's be honest, it all meant nothing until one video changed everything. That infamous clip, the one that's been played millions of times, turned them into overnight sensations. The second it hit the internet, it spread like wildfire everywhere. Memes, reactions, remixes, you name it. But not all attention is good attention. And for the Island Boys, most of it was straight up brutal. Instead of praise, they were met with widespread mockery and secondhand embarrassment. The internet had made them famous, sure, but not because people liked them, because they couldn't stop laughing at them. And when they finally stepped out from behind the screen, reality hit them like a truck. The perfect example? Their now infamous live performance at Club LIV in Miami. The brothers stepped on stage thinking they were superstars, but the crowd? They weren't having it. Booed off stage, humiliated. The same people hyping them up online were now laughing in their faces. That moment set the tone for everything that followed. But here's the kicker. Even as the world turned on them, the Island Boys refused to believe their fame was fleeting. In every interview, they confidently declared that they were stacking millions and that their career was only going up from here. They were convinced the hate was jealousy and that their moment in the spotlight would last forever. But here's the truth. They were the only ones who thought that. Everyone else? They knew this was just another internet gimmick. And if there's one thing we all know about viral moments, they never last. While the Island Boys were busy flexing their new lifestyle, everyone else was laughing at them. Not with them. Even the people who brought them onto their platform saw the writing on the wall. There was no longevity in this. They just didn't realize it yet.
As their so-called music career started crumbling, the Island Boys became desperate, willing to do whatever it took to keep the money rolling in, no matter the cost. Their actual fan base was shrinking fast, and they knew it. So what did they do? They turned themselves into a full-blown circus act.
At first, they staged dramatic fights online, fake beefs with each other, manufactured feuds with random influencers, anything to get people talking. But the problem? Nobody cared anymore. Then, they pivoted to squeezing every possible dollar out of their fading fame. Their biggest cash grab? Their Cameo account. They charged fans $135 for custom videos, but instead of gratitude, they spent more time lashing out at customers for leaving bad reviews. Fast forward to now, that price has plummeted to just $60. And even at that price, nobody's buying. And let's be real, they need the money bad, because during their brief moment of success, they didn't just spend their earnings, they burned through it like it was infinite, Rather than saving or making smart investments, they acted like they'd be rich forever. How bad was it? Financial expert Graham Stephan crunched the numbers on their jewelry alone, and the figures were insane. We're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions just on chains. But here's the worst part. Their delusional belief that they were untouchable cost them real opportunities. They actually turned down a deal with Kodak Black's Sniper Gang label, a move that could have at least secured them in advance and given them some industry stability. At first, the Island Boys were all about flexing their riches, renting a lavish mansion, whipping around in Bentleys, and flaunting stacks of cash like they had a never-ending supply. Their entire brand became about wealth and excess, but instead of making people admire them, it started to rub everyone the wrong way. Even those who initially wanted them to succeed eventually got fed up with their arrogance. And what made things worse? They refused to take advice. No matter how many industry insiders tried to school them on how to sustain their success, they acted like they had everything under control. One of the most infamous examples? Their meltdown on the Impulsive podcast. During the interview, George Janko tried to throw them a lifeline, suggesting that maybe investing in assets instead of wasting money on jewelry could be a smart move. But instead of taking the advice, they got defensive, acted disrespected, and stormed off. The whole episode made them look like fools, but in their minds, it was great publicity. They thought drama meant more clicks, but instead, it just made them even more of a joke. And just when people thought they couldn't embarrass themselves further, they found new ways to sink even lower. Take their infamous trip to Johnny Dang's jewelry shop. Instead of being treated like big ballers, they got publicly humiliated. Kodiak Red tried to act tough, but Sasuke, one of Dang's guys, checked him so hard that his entire gangster image fell apart on the spot. But that was nothing compared to what happened next. By July 2023, the Island Boys did the unthinkable. They launched an OnlyFans. And not just any OnlyFans, one that pushed boundaries so far that even Adam22 was disgusted. At first, it was just them trying to milk their last loyal fans for money. But then, they crossed a line so disturbing that it officially destroyed any remaining credibility they had. They started leaning into a twisted incest angle to boost sales. And unfortunately, this wasn't even a joke. The reaction was swift and brutal. Even in an industry like hip-hop, where controversy can sometimes help a career, what they did was beyond indefensible. They tried to brush it off, saying they were just chasing the bag. But at that point, no one was buying their excuses. With that one move, the Island Boys didn't just burn their last bridge, they set fire to any hope of being taken seriously ever again. Just when you thought the Island Boys couldn't sink any lower, their last shred of credibility was completely wiped out. And with it, their money. As their revenue streams dried up, their financial troubles started piling up fast, but instead of making smart moves to salvage what they had left, they kept doubling down on bad decisions. Reports began surfacing that they weren't just broke, but that they owed serious money to multiple people, including their own manager. He didn't hold back, airing out just how bad their situation had become. The money was gone and they had nothing left to fall back on.
As if things couldn't get any worse, they started making regular appearances on Jack Doherty's live streams. Yes, Jack Doherty, one of the most hated influencers on the internet. Instead of being treated like stars, they were clowned on, mocked, and humiliated, sometimes even by Jack himself. And while they were desperately trying to hold on to some level of internet relevance, it was obvious that they had hit rock bottom.
Jack even dropped hints about how badly they were struggling financially, making it painfully clear that they were barely hanging on. And then came the incident that sealed their fate. During one of these streamed appearances, the Island Boys got into a physical altercation and were accused of hitting Jack's girlfriend. This wasn't just another viral stunt, this was serious. And while the details of the altercation were messy, it destroyed any last bit of public sympathy they may have had. At this point, the Island Boys are no longer seen as artists. They're just two washed-up influencers, grasping for attention in an already oversaturated social media market. Instead of building their careers, they've been reduced to chasing whatever scraps they can find, doing whatever it takes just to stay relevant. And now, 3 years after their brief moment of fame with Island Boy, the duo is nothing more than a joke. Even Fly Soja's girlfriend's father sees it. He openly disapproved of their relationship, calling them embarrassing. Instead of handling it privately, Fly did what he does best. He ran to social media, mocking the man and putting his family drama on blast for the world to see. At this point, the Island Boys aren't known for music, talent, or anything close to success. They're only relevant for drama. Instead of growing from their early arrogant days, they've doubled down on their reckless behavior, and the consequences are catching up fast. Take Fly Soja, for example. When his girlfriend Kayla was pregnant, instead of stepping up as a responsible father, he joked about dumping her if she didn't bounce back fast enough after giving birth. And sadly, it doesn't end there. Even when his newborn baby was in the NICU fighting for their health, he couldn't put his phone down. Instead of being fully present for his child, he was still online chasing clout, proving once again that social media comes before everything else. But as bad as Fly Soja's situation sounds, his twin brother Kodiak Red is spiraling even harder. Recently, Kodiak barely avoided jail time after getting into trouble over driving-related offenses, and since then, reports have surfaced that his finances are in complete shambles. He's apparently struggling to even make car payments, which has impacted his brother as well. Fly Soja isn't happy about it and seems to think that Kodiak is dragging them both down. But that's not even the worst part. Rumors are flying that Kodiak Red is dealing with substance abuse issues, and instead of supporting him through it, his own twin threw him under the bus. Fly Soja went public saying that the only way Kodiak could fix his life was if he made a real commitment to change. And just when it seemed like the Island Boys couldn't get more dysfunctional, they took their family feud online. The brothers have been going at it non-stop, airing out their dirtiest secrets for the whole internet to see. The wildest accusation? Kodiak claimed that Fly Soja's baby mama was using drugs while pregnant, suggesting that this led to the baby's current medical struggles. This shocking claim set off a firestorm, with fans questioning if there was any truth to it or if this was just another desperate attempt to stir controversy. As for Kodiak Red, he's been trying to convince the world that his life isn't as bad as people think. He denies being homeless or struggling with addiction, saying that he's been sober since last year. He also insists that his finances are just fine, but his actions tell a different story. While bragging on TikTok about his crib and luxury lifestyle, Kodiak conveniently left out one important detail. He can't even drive his own car anymore. On top of that, despite claiming that he's financially stable, he's literally asking fans for housewarming gifts, which definitely doesn't scream financial security. After everything the Island Boys have done, let's be real, no one is shedding a tear for them. The internet isn't handing out sympathy for their downfall, and honestly, most people think they got exactly what they deserved. For years, these two mocked regular folks for working real jobs, bragged about their millions, and flexed money they clearly didn't have. Now, they can't even afford basic necessities, and people are laughing at the irony. Social media is roasting them for going from flashing stacks of cash to begging online, calling it poetic justice. But here's where things get even more ridiculous. Despite all the drama, so-called beef, and public meltdowns, these two were still posting TikToks together as recently as December 2024. Which means this whole feud might just be another one of their poorly thought-out stunts. And honestly, would anyone be surprised? The Island Boys have always been desperate for attention, and at this point, they'll do just about anything to stay in the conversation. Even after everything, Kodiak Red is teasing new music and has even brought back their infamous Wicks hairstyle, as if that alone will somehow revive their careers. Meanwhile, Fly Soja is shifting focus, trying to turn himself and his girlfriend into TikTok stars. But here's the problem, they've lost the audience's interest, and once people stop caring, it's almost impossible to get them back. The truth is, they should have handled their come-up differently. If they had been humble, grateful, and actually worked on building something real, they might have had a shot at longevity, but instead, they burned every bridge, alienated their audience, and now they're paying the price. It's a tough lesson in clout chasing gone wrong. And now, they probably wish they had played the game a little smarter. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this whole messy situation, and I'll see you in the next one.